A few years ago, I was overly harsh regarding the Motley Fool blog, but I do want to give credit where credit is due. The Motley Fool had an article about silver in April of 2011, and they were exactly right on the price action. Alex, I won't try and pronounce his last name because I'll say it wrongly, had an article saying, warning, silver will fall by 66%. And silver was almost 50 at the time. And he said, silver prices are now well ahead of their historical average. The chart doesn't do justice to the extent of the gap that has opened up with respect to a fair price, blah, blah, blah. So he says, the price of silver would need to fall by nearly 2/3 to get back to its long-term average of $18 an ounce, not to mention that the markets typically overshoot. So he talks more about things. He says, with silver at 50, who's to say that it can't reach 100? He says, I can imagine that scenario. Once irrationality and speculative mania take hold of a market, there is no measuring how far the excess will run, except post facto. It's impossible to time the bursting of a bubble. It could happen several months from now, just as it could take several years, and so forth. So he does say that he doesn't know when the price will fall. He does say that he doesn't know how high it will go, but he did say in the article he thinks silver is going to fall by 66% to $18 an ounce, and that's exactly what happened. Now, how did he do that? Well, he read a chart. In fact, there were a lot of chart-reading people who said the same exact thing as him. There were a lot of people who looked at historical data and said the same exact thing as him. And as we know, there's no destiny in these charts, but there are forecasts they can make in predictions, kind of like the weather. You know, there's not 100% of, next week of what the weather's going to be, but they can make predictions and forecasts. But he made an accurate prediction on April 29, 2011, and when he did, he got mocked. There were tribute videos of hatred toward him, calling him a shill, how wrong he was, and all these comments were saying how wrong he was. But on this call, he was exactly right. Now, the reasons why he said there might be interest rate hikes to cause that, and we haven't seen that. It was other factors. But I want to say is that I got to give this give this author credit for he said, I'm making a call, and he made a right call. He gave his reasons, and the vitriol and the hatred that was directed at him was actually kind of a sign that maybe he's onto something. One thing about the Motley Fool is they haven't always been right. It seems that they are a stock website, and when it seems to stocks, like in 2008 and other critical time periods, the authors of the blog, they couldn't see some things. Now, this blog is not a silver blog, and maybe that's how they were able to see this from a different perspective, because they're not investing in silver, but they're not shorting silver. They're looking at silver from an outside market, so maybe they have a clearer view of silver. I'm just making up theories here. I don't know. All I'm saying is that he was a great call made. It happened exactly as how this guy called it. He was ridiculed, mocked, and called names and put labels on at the time, but things worked. It happened the way he said it was. And there were a lot of other YouTubers in 2011 of April who were saying the same thing, and these people got the hatred piled on top of them. And at the time, I wasn't really recognizing what was going on there with this kind of sentiment going on here. I was only seeing contrarian indicators of the mainstream media, because for the previous few years, the mainstream media seemed to be completely wrong about the silver price action until the price was on a downward level, and then all of a sudden the people who were predicting prices up were always wrong for the next 2 years. Now silver, it hit 18 like Alex said it would, but he didn't say where it was going at 18. He said it's going to 18. After it hit 18, he didn't say where it's going. He did say that stuff tends to overshoot on the downside after it overshoots on the upside, but that's really all he said. So I just want to kind of give credit where credit is due, that if they make a good call, I'm going to say they made a good call, but of course I'm not going to say that they're infallible. I'm not going to say they gave great advice. I'm going to acknowledge a great call he made and all the mocking that he put up with. All right, thank you.